Good morning. Well, the market's not sure if it wants to go up, go down, go sideways. It's kind of all over the place. It didn't know what to do yesterday with the CPI number.
Definitely
Good
did.
morning, everybody. Brendan Rendo with the Homes Orlando team, joined as always by Joseph Dion of Aptly Home Loans. And this is the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We come to you every week. Morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you doing? Craziness, like you said, all over the place.
Yeah, the instant reaction was shot up on the T-bill
Mm-hmm.
and then came roaring down late afternoon. And you actually had a little positive in your rates for a change.
Yeah, it was kind of, and what was interesting though is we saw MBS improve at a disproportionate level to the T-bill from what we're used to. Because by the end of the day, the T-bill moved very, it was like 1 bip down. But we saw MBS was like 22 bips up. So that's kind of like usually 1 bip might yield 3, maybe 4 in the MBS. So to see that amount, I expected a lot of pullback today, and we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So, and those initial numbers, your core, PPI numbers came out today, a little bit stronger. Unemployment numbers came out revised, a little bit weaker. Like it's all over the place right now.
Yeah, well, as they say, a recession's when your friend's unemployed, depression's when you're unemployed. Talked to a couple people, actually, my younger brother who worked here in Lake Mary. Mitsubishi Power Systems had several layoffs. He unfortunately was one of them. And then I talked to my electrician, who I've used for 20 plus years, and great guy. And he's saying he's down 50% on his work right now.
Wow.
So we're seeing it hit everybody in the pocket. And when we jump into the numbers and we look at the graphs, we came in at 3.7, just a little bit hotter than they expected. But what killed us is the past several months, energy kind of stayed level. It was kind of, wasn't going anywhere. But with the pullback of volume by both Russia and Saudi Arabia, we've seen this. All of a sudden, it spiked 10.5%.
Yeah.
And that really kind of hurt us. But we're still, when you look down here, the transportation services, which is one of the main things, we're sitting at 10.3% for the year right now. And then shelter, we're still sitting at 7.3.
Yeah.
Even though, again, we're seeing the rental pressure of rents to come down, still sitting fairly high. I mean, one of the nice things is if you're looking to buy a used car prices have been down.
There's some positive though, but the interest rate's going to be a lot higher, so the payment will still be the same.
Yeah, but when you look at all the numbers, it's like, okay, that transportation, because everything's transportation, everything's hauled, everything's moved by tractor trailers around the country, and you're seeing that number increase. Well, you look at like UPS, their drivers was a 30-40% raise.
Yeah.
So that's going to end up transferring.
Costs are going to be, moved over. What are you seeing with airfare now? Like you're seeing a lot of those trade groups and so forth, they're getting, negotiation and contracts changing. A lot of pilots' pay is increasing significantly.
Yep.
And there's a huge shortage in that area too. So they're going to pay more. Which is definitely always an interesting. And then I saw like the class action between Delta Delta and somebody else, Southwest, I think, class action for holding, colluding to keep prices high for airfare on domestic flights. It's like, well, that's only going to now they have some data though to be like, no, it's up here because of these things.
Yeah. I forgot which airline it was. It may have been American yesterday, downgraded their earnings by 2/3
Oh wow.
for the final quarter. And a lot of that they're accounting to the rise in the fuel costs
Mm-hmm.
because we're getting so much pressure on the fuel costs. And it's one of those where you're sitting there and that dynamic of energy can change everything in a heartbeat. I mean, literally
Mm-hmm.
overnight. I know we were supposed to try and refill the strategic petroleum reserve,
Yeah.
and the administration came out and said they were going to, and said, nope, not going to do it right now because
Mm-hmm.
the price of oil shot up again. So, there's, I don't see inflation dropping as much as we thought it was because it felt like it was cooling off a little bit, you know. But now that the energy factor is back into the game, can put a whole new twist into everything for us. And then we start looking at what everyone's doing around the world. So you're looking at this, and we're still for the 20th meeting next week. We got the Fed with their meeting coming
Mm-hmm.
out. We actually jumped to 97% of people say they're not going to do a rate increase at this time,
Yeah.
which I think it's all been factored in. It's all been priced into the market.
Yep.
But then we jump into our November 1st meeting, and we actually have shot up a little bit that people are feeling that they're not going to. So we went from maybe only 57% feeling they're not going to do a rate increase. We've jumped about 4% to saying, increase that they're not going to do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's because you're starting to feel a lot more of this burden
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't seen before. And was it Google just cut a number of their recruiting people because they're
Mm-hmm.
dropping the number of people that they're hiring as well. So you're seeing it across the broad market where, hey, it's starting to hit everybody now, that
Mm-hmm.
things are really starting to tighten up. And like we've said several times, I don't feel this is going to be a soft landing. I think we're going to get hit a little bit. And even if
Yeah.
we go out to the December meeting, right now we got people saying they're going to hold. So
Yeah. Well, I
I
think like you
hoping they're right.
I hope too, and I think what we've been talking about, like what we've been leading up, is like we're feeling like we're seeing people be impacted on on a local level, right? Like we see it. I think a lot of these, the Fed and so forth, they're looking at it and they're able to start seeing it on their level now. When
Mhm.
you're way up here, like it's a lot harder to see the person down here that's struggling, right? But when they
Exactly.
start seeing the people around here start to struggle, then it feels a little bit closer and they go, okay, maybe we have an impact. Like maybe we've done enough.
Yep. Yep. So kind of hoping. And then this morning we saw the European Central Bank actually jump theirs to 4%.
Wow.
So they're kind of, but it's interesting because the big warning in there was from one of the bankers is they felt that it was going to cause the same problems we've discussed in that the cost is getting too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that especially in a lot of the commercial areas, that it was going to start pushing it down.
Mm-hmm.
That it's going to make it more difficult in an already rough economy over there. They're hurting a lot more than we are. It's going to cause further problems over there. So, and then when we've looked at our rates, we've really kind of just it's kind of leveled out. We haven't had anything push us too far up high, too far too low.
Mm-hmm.
You've been kind of sitting in that 7.25 market overall
Yeah.
these days, but it's still it's affecting everyone. So when you're looking at selling your home, is you got to look at this, and our mortgage volume has hit the lowest level it's been at now since 1996.
Yeah.
And you can see the reverse correlation. Rates have gone up. Look at this drop in the volume of
Mm-hmm.
application. It's just gone way down. And here's your purchase. It's almost proportional. Higher it goes, we get proportional drop in our number of applications.
Yep.
So the pool again of our buyers keeps getting smaller.
And that's going to do what? It's going to keep prices high.
Keep prices high because we got lower Well, we got some interesting numbers when we get into the inventory today. Got some very interesting numbers. But what's also going to happen is this is going to hit us, and it's starting to hit us now because people are starting to get their notification, and the interest, I think, was it September 1st, the interest started accruing on those
first
student
payments,
loans, correct?
October 1st. And those are payments that people haven't had to make in 3 years?
Is it almost 3 years now?
I mean, I think they paused it during COVID. So in 2020, they paused it. So we've been 3 years of no payments for people with student loans. That 6 months of pause, you still know you have the bill coming. But at this point, there's no the government knows. They're basically saying, hey, we know payments start in October, but we're not going to report anybody late for the first year. Now, it'll accrue interest on these federal backed, they'll accrue interest.
Okay.
But if you miss your payment in October, you're not getting a 30-day late or anything like that. They're not going to report it to the credit bureaus. You have 1 year to make payments before they're going to report it to the credit bureaus as late, right?
I did not know that.
Now, it's interesting, right? Because it's not getting reported. It has this. But what I'm curious about is, that's a major issue when the government's already said, hey, when these start, we can't report for a year because we expect people to not be able to afford this. Right? Isn't that what they're basically doing?
That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah. They're saying, hey, and it's kind of and I joke, and I might be stretching this a little bit, but when the initial, 2009, 10, 11, when the first housing kind of big, that great, housing collapse or whatnot, the early 2000s, right? What did you have to do to get a loan modification back then, right? They'd be like, oh, well, you need to fall behind for us to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We all remember, you couldn't give anybody that advice. I couldn't, if I would, people, I couldn't tell somebody miss a payment, they'll help you out. But when they would call up and be like, hey, I'm really struggling to make my payments, the loan modification departments would say, unfortunately, I can't do anything until you're 60 days behind. So what were they encouraging people? Don't make your payment for 60 days.
60 days.
And then we'll do something. Is something like that going to be happening on student loans? I don't know. Because you didn't have to count them in the debt ratio, correct? While it was deferred? Well, they were in forbearance. So it's kind of an interesting because it was deferred out for more than a year. A lot of times we could omit it. Now, certain FHA, we still had to factor numbers, but a lot of times you can exclude it. But we saw FHA, we saw Freddie Mac, it's at 0.5% of the balance, for calculation, which is really good.
They minimized it.
Yeah. And now it's the payment's coming back. And I'll take, for instance, on my, just to give you an idea, I have student loans. I've got more than my wife and I have more than I want. We continue to make payments throughout, but our payments throughout, and we got the actual bill that's coming on, and it's higher than what we were paying before. The minimum bill is now higher, even though the balance is lower. So things I don't know how the process all impacted or did or this and that, but to me, that goes, well, if that happened to me and I was paying down the balance, what happened to people that weren't doing anything?
Oh, yeah. And now all of a sudden, all that interest that is accrued.
Well, in the last 3 years, they haven't been accruing interest. So that was nice, right? But it's still an interesting scenario where I think a lot of the calculations, I feel there's a little bit of differentiation, a lot of transitioning for markets and stuff. And they're really focusing on trying to get people into, what is it? I think it's I don't know what the new income-based repayment plan that Biden threw out there.
Based on your income.
Yeah,
but still
totally,
in a lot.
totally different than than his campaign promise where he said he was going to get, student loan balances wiped out or
Yeah, just going
forgiven.
to wipe out $1 trillion worth of debt. You
Yeah.
know, worst part is people believed him. So that's, we got this coming. So that's another factor in the housing market. So, if I'm the Fed and I'm looking forward now, all of a sudden, there's a lot of factors that tell me that, okay, maybe, just maybe, I pushed it a little too hard.
Yeah.
Just this much,
This much.
but so I think it's going to be interesting to watch through the end of the year.
Yeah.
But when you look at numbers today, and you and I have talked about this, about going into the fall, how this might be an opportunity, the first time for buyers in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we jump into our numbers this week, I think I had mentioned this, is I felt that the number of sales were going to start to drop.
Yeah.
And what happened this week?
That's a
We only had 346 sales.
Well, the week of that was a holiday week too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but still, that's a drop.
That's a drop.
That's a drop. And our inventory increased again, 157 homes.
That's a pretty sizable increase.
So we've had, in the past, 3 or 4 weeks, we've had some significant number of homes start to come onto the market that we hadn't seen in the past, because we were watching 9, 10 homes. We had decreases. I mean, I think you and I, jumped up and did a dance one time because it was like 20, new homes on the market. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
we're making.
Yes, and now
But
you got
157.
Yeah.
We're starting to change negotiation strategies.
Yeah, it's you're starting to look at it like, okay, there's things starting to open up, because remember back in January we had that level increase a little bit, and same thing with the condos. Our condo sales dropped to 120.
Yep.
So we've seen 2 big decreases, and the condo inventory keeps going up.
Yeah.
And then we come into, what we look at every week, which is our original list sales price to final. And this keeps creeping down. The original to final is getting closer to 95.
Yep.
So you're, 5% off your original sales price is pretty good. But this was interesting, is where most houses are getting the biggest decreases is in that 500 and above.
Yeah.
These guys, look at over $1 million. They've got an average of 92% decrease. Even the 500 and above, you're at 95%.
Yeah.
Of the original price. And then here you see it on our graphs. I mean, we've really kind of hit that point. We're fortunate in that our prices aren't going up; they're not going down. They've held fairly steady for the past several months, right in that $425,000 market. That median value. But you look at our weekly sales, and we're actually kind of pulling below that period average more than we are above, and this number is going to start dropping. But when you see a drop like this, roller coaster ride like this, to me it's kind of like a and it kind of makes sense, because beginning of August we really started seeing rates shoot up a little bit.
Yep.
And then this is it. Inventory. Here's our jump. Since May, we have done a steady increase. And we right now are just over 1% less than what we had in January.
Wow. So that was that tightening that we saw, like it's gone pretty much.
It's gone pretty much. And January, when I was out with clients, is we felt comfortable for the first time in a long time.
You didn't feel like you had to put an offer that second over
No.
asking price. Like you could say, okay, is this the home for me?
Yeah.
Do I
You
need
could
some
take the
credits?
time.
Like, can I
Yep.
negotiate a 2-1 buy down potentially?
Yep. Yep. Let's utilize this because man, this house has now been sitting for 35 days.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get aggressive. Let's get aggressive and let's see if this seller, how badly he want to move.
Yep.
And you would take all those factors into effect, and you'd start looking at the pendings to try and figure out, okay, how many price decreases did they have? Did these people drop their price? And where are all these going to come in?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's kind of good because it also may give some competition to the new builds, which new builds are still steady. We're still getting a numerous amounts of incentives out there as well.
And
that's
what's
again,
interesting? Can I ask a question on new builds real quick?
sure.
I won't mention the builder that this happened on, and this was crazy. Like it's a little controversial, so I'm putting you on the spot. We had a builder that we had one of our LOs. He had a client that loved them, was like, I want to use them. Looked at this new build community. I don't, without going too much into who that community is. What was interesting was they went and the sales associate really strong arm, but they basically said, hey, the price is 348, or excuse me, 548 if you use your lender.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use our lender, we'll drop the price to 525. Oh, and if you use your lender, we're not going to adjust down if there's a low appraisal. But if you use our lender, if the appraisal comes in low, we'll adjust and match. And if you use their lender, we're not going to give any incentive. But if you use our lender, we're going to give you $15,000 in closing cost, builder credits for closing cost assistance.
Wow.
And I sat there and I was just like, whoa, this was really weird to me on the new build, because it was the first time I felt like I saw this. The builder was admitting or knew that the properties weren't going to appraise for what they were marketing.
Weren't going to appraise.
And they were saying, hey, go with them and pay the higher price, or go with us. And the buyer and the LO was like, when I was talking to him, he was like, I just don't understand. Why would they do that? I said, easy, because they know it won't appraise. If they go over to you and they put all the pressure on you and the buyer uses you, it's all your fault if it doesn't appraise, and they got to bring the difference, which helps their numbers.
Yeah.
So they're willing to gamble with you.
Well, that's the thing that I don't like with the builders, and I wish there was a little more control on this. And that because they're making money from all different areas. They own the title company, they own the mortgage company, and they own the build. So, and I think we've mentioned this, is that it allows them to absorb and do these buy downs that we're seeing right now, because they don't have to make anything on the mortgage side because their profit on the build side is so big.
You can inflate that number up over here.
You inflate that number up.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything, is you start to, and this has always been the thing with builders, is they never like to come off their price, because the minute they do, that comp is used with every other comp in the neighborhood.
That's now in the community.
In that community. And the minute they drop on one, it destroys all the ones coming forward.
Yep.
And that's their biggest difficulty. And that's why they'd rather provide the incentives than anything else.
But what blew my head in this situation is they weren't just providing incentives. They were willing to drop the purchase price too.
So like you said, they knew it wasn't going to appraise. They knew very well that it wasn't going to appraise. But here's the thing, and this is where you've got to, knowing the rules it's kind of a chicken match, really.
Mm-hmm.
And because if it doesn't appraise, and they're not willing to do it, according to the contract, you've got the right to get out. And what they do, and this is the hardest part with selling and the hardest part working with buyers, you can't make it emotional. And the minute it gets emotional, you lose.
Yep.
You will always lose a negotiation. It's numbers. That's all it is. And it does go back to the person who speaks first loses. So you've got to be willing to know that, okay, if it doesn't come in, they're telling me this. Well, let's see if they're real. Let's see if they're willing to do that, because I don't care. You want to see the quick, and maybe we'll do this on our next one, is we'll bring up all the move-in ready homes for all these builders. The lists keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Guess what? They act like they're in the seller seat, but not as much as they were. Not quite as much as they were. Yeah, they're providing the incentives and stuff. But when I've got a list of DR Horton homes, that's almost 2 pages now of what they call quick move-ins, homes that are either finished or going to be finished within the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
It gives you you feel good walking in. It's like, no, let's get up and walk from the table. Let them call us back. Yep. And they will. They'll call you back. You're like, oh, well, what do we got to do to get them in? Well, first off, give them a freaking refrigerator. I don't know why. All the builders, I shouldn't say all of them, but the majority of them now took the refrigerators away. Now you got to buy your own fridge when you buy a house.
Well, you know what? Like, how much money were those builders saving?
It's okay. Yeah, they buy them in bulk, so they're getting them at a much better price than anyone else. So, but you look at that and you're like, okay, this is where you got to know this is, you got to know your market, you got to know statistics, and you got to walk in confident and never be afraid as that buyer to walk from the table.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, do I want to do this? And if I do, okay, I may lose this house, but that's okay. But I may also get it at what I want to get it at.
Yeah.
Because is this builder or that builder or this builder right now willing to walk away from a definite sale and not drop that price? I don't think so much. But again, it's a game of chicken, and they're using the buyer's fear and their emotion of attachment to this new house.
Yep.
To exactly what you said, strong arm them.
Yeah.
Into accepting it. Okay, I'll do it. Which very well these days could not be in their best interest.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and as we see the market continue to slow up and be more stagnant, this is where the skills of negotiation come in.
Yep.
And the biggest one is always being willing to walk away from the table.
Yeah.
Because if you're not willing to walk away from the table, I think you're going to get you're not going to get exactly what you want.
Exactly.
So, but it's interesting to see the dynamic changes in the numbers this week. You're seeing it, and you are out there in the market. You're starting to feel it. People know it's low. Talk to a couple other people, who we're all used to doing 2-3 deals a month, and it's like, oh, I got one this month. Like, phew. Yeah. So it's tightening.
Yep, it sure is.
That cleans out a lot of the dead weight.
That does.
Guess what's due next month?
Is it renewal season?
Renewal season. Renewal season. Yeah. What was the bill this year? $600-$700 to renew your MLS this year?
MLS. Oh gosh, that's something like that. I've got so many states that it's a lot more.
So it'll be interesting to see. I think we've got like 18,000 realtors right now.
Yeah, that'll drop.
I'm saying 15.5.
15.5.
Yeah, I bet you we lose about 2,500.
Part of Aura, Emma. I mean, I think we can at least, yeah. I mean, 20%. Yeah, somewhere
Yeah,
around there. I think
I think we'll
20%
lose.
is possible.
I think we'll lose 20%. So
we'll see. All
yeah.
right.
Well, thank you all for joining us. It was a fun show today. And please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. We come to you every week. And we'll announce it probably in the next couple of days. We may have something very interesting to present next week. But we'll let you know on that one.
We'll figure this out.
Yep. Take care.
Sounds good, guys.